Good day everyone, I am Costa, and today I am going to report about McCrae and Costa's 5-factor trait theory. Outline: Life of Robert R. McCrae, Big 5 personality traits, conscientiousness, agreeableness, and openness to experience. Robert McCrae was born April 28, 1949 in Maryville, Missouri, a town of 13,000 people located about 100 miles north of Kansas City. Maryville is home to Northwest Missouri State, the town's largest employer. He is the youngest of 3 children of Andrew McCrae and Eloise Elaine McCrae. Grew up with an avid interest in science and mathematics. By the time he entered Michigan State University, he had decided to study philosophy. A National Merit Scholar, he nevertheless was not completely happy with the open-ended and non-empirical nature of philosophy. After completing his INS undergraduate degree, he entered graduate school at Boston University with a major HI psychology. Given his inclination and talent for math and science, McCrae found himself intrigued by the psychometric work of Raymond Cattell. In particular, he became curious about using factor analysis to search about simple method for identifying the structural traits found in the dictionary. At Boston University, McCrae's major professor was Henry Weinberg, a clinical psychologist with only a peripheral interest in personality traits. Hence, McCrae's interest in traits is said to be nourished more internally than externally. Also, he is a personality psychologist at the National Institute of Aging. He has spent his career studying the stability of personality across age and culture. He met Paul Costa while still in graduate school, and they worked together for 2 years in Boston before moving research team to Baltimore. He is a fellow of the American Psychological Association, the American Psychological Society, and the Gerontological Society of America. Along with Paul Costa, he is a co-author of the revised NAO Personality Inventory. He has served on the editorial boards of many scholarly journals, including the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, the Journal of Research in Personality, the Journal of Cross-Cultural Psychology, and the Journal of Individual Differences. Personality traits are construed as basic tendencies that are rooted in biology, and that interact with external influences including culture, in shaping the skills, habits, taste, and the values of the individual. McCrae believes that personality is a biological trait, first and foremost. Through his research, he found that around the age of 30, neuroticism and extroversion begins to decline while agreeableness and conscientiousness increase with age. Openness to experience, however, seems to follow a curve shape peaking around the age of 90. This research, however, applied to people as a whole. This does not apply especially to each individual. The group as a whole tends to change in this way throughout the lifetime. As he studied personality trends and stability in cultures, McCrae found that countries high in neuroticism and low in agreeableness from dimensions of uncertainty avoidance. Countries that are low in extroversion and high in conscientiousness tend to be high in power distance. Cultures high in extroversion predict a high rate of individualism and high levels of neuroticism and openness to experience the great division of masculinity within the culture. We are done with the biography of Robert R. McCrae, and now we are going to the Big 5 personality traits. So here are the Big 5 personality traits, starting off with openness or openness to experience, neuroticism, agreeableness, extraversion, and conscientiousness. The middle one is the personality. We will discuss this one by one later. So, In 1978, McCrae and Costa created a trait assessment that looked at the three main traits, and these were neuroticism, extraversion, and openness to experience. They later modified this to look at five main traits, so in 1990 they created an assessment called the NAOPIR. The NAO initially referred to were neuroticism, extroversion, and openness to experience, but it's no longer an acronym because now it's referring to five traits and then the PI for personality inventory and R for revise. What's on this NAOPIR? They consist of 240 items, and the way that it works is a person look at each item and they respond to it using what it's called Likert scale. So, Likert scale is a scale with five possible responses, and this ranges from strongly disagree to disagree, to neutral to agree, and then strongly agree. So you look down at this statement relating to personality and you decide how much you think that it matches your own personality. And so by going through the 240 items using the Likert scale, for each of them we come up with where you fall on each of these main factors. The five factors are extraversion, also often as extraversion, agreeableness, openness experience, conscientiousness, and neuroticism. So first I will only explain the three parts of the big five traits because my partner Earl will explain the neuroticism and the extraversion. Now we are going to the openness to experience. This refers to someone's curiosity, their willingness to try new things and have new experiences, and it may be even related with their intelligence. These people tend to enjoy creative activities and are more inclined to exploring different areas of life or alternative ideas. People who scored low on this scale usually don't break out their comfort zone very often. Different activities, routine, or ideas may make feel them uncomfortable. Conscientiousness refers to a person's tendency to follow through to get things done. They feel a sense of responsibility for things and they also tend to a higher level of carefulness. They tend to put more effort into organizing their everyday activities. You might call some people OCD. These people are more likely to plan out every detail of application, itinerary, or reread their work a handful times before returning it. On the other hand, people who scored low in these terms of conscientiousness are usually more likely to let things happen without planning or organizing. Agreeableness. Someone's willingness to cooperate and compromise with other people. It also includes their sense of loyalty or trust in other persons and their desire to maintain good social relationships. People who are more agreeable are willing to take action in order to make peace with others. Agreeable people are also more likely to be patient with others. These type of people might sacrifice what they actually want just the sake of others, or maybe to let go of anger feelings quicker. So now we are going to the Likert scale. The idea, as I said, you will go to the assessment and this will tell you where you stand in each of these dimensions. This would give you your unique personality profile. So here are the examples of it. So as you can see, where do you fall on openness to experience? Maybe you're a little bit lower than that. Your conscientiousness, maybe you're very conscientious. Maybe you're between introvert and extrovert. And in the fourth one, maybe you're the agreeable. And low on your decision. So you'd go through and we'll see where you fall on each of these different dimensions. Now, you also notice here a nice mnemonic for remembering these five factors. As you can see in all of this first letter, it is formed as ocean that can remind you openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Now, these labels that we're using for each of these factors are up for debate, and so that's something that we can keep in mind is that it's important to remember that each of these factors, of course, refers to many things. That's what a factor does in factors analysis. We pull out something that refers to many items, and so we might think that maybe the term conscientiousness isn't the best to describe all the things that are included, and there's still some disagreement on this. We have to keep in mind that even through it a simple term, it actually refers to many things. We should also remember that there's potential for overlap between scores on these different dimensions. And what I mean by that is your score on one dimension might influence how you express on another dimension. So, for instances, we might think about your opponent's experience and maybe that's going to be influenced by your extraversion or your level of openness. The social experiences might be different at your band of openness to ideas. And so we could think about how we could break this down a little bit further to get a more detailed view of someone's personality. And lastly, that brings us to the idea that this is a general assessment. It's not aimed to tell us everything about a single person. It's a nomothetic approach, and that means it's trying to find out about things that are shared by everyone, so it's going to be more general. That means that your scores on an assessment like the NAOPIR aren't going to tell you about your specific behavior. It's not detailed enough to look at the names of a single individual.
This is the part of McCrae and Costa's five-factor trait theory. Costa was born in 1942 in Franklin, New Hampshire after completing undergraduate work at Clark University. He went to graduate school at University of Chicago, where he studied development. He taught for 2 years at Harvard and 5 years at University of Massachusetts, Boston, before moving to National Institution of Aging, Baltimore, where he and McCrae have been ever since. He is a fellow of the American Psychological Association and a past president of International Society for the Study of Individual Differences. In addition, McCrae and Costa were arguing for three-factor model personality. Not until 1985 did they begin to report the work on the five-factor of personality. Neuroticism is a broad personality trait dimension representing the degree to which a person experiences the world as distressing, threatening, and unsafe. Each individual can be positioned somewhere on this personality dimension between extreme poles, perfect emotional stability versus complete emotional chaos. Highly neurotic individuals tend to be anxious, tense, and withdrawn. Individuals who are low in neuroticism are tend to be calm, even-tempered, self-satisfied, comfortable, and unemotional. People who are high in neuroticism frequently complain of physical and symptoms such as headache and backache, and of vague psychological problems such as worries and anxieties. Neuroticism, however, does not necessarily suggest a neurosis in the traditional meaning of the term. People People can score high in neuroticism and be free of any debilitating psychological symptoms. Extraversion is one of the five personality traits of Big Five personality theory. It indicates how outgoing and social a person is. A person who scores high in extraversion on a personality test is the life is life the party. They enjoy being with people, participating in social gatherings, and are full of energy. A person with low extraversion is outgoing and is more comfortable working by himself. Extroverts Extroverts have a habitually low level of cortical arousal. They need a high level of sensory stimulation to maintain an optimal level of stimulation. Therefore, extroverts participate more often in exciting and stimulating activities. They may enjoy such activities as mountain climbing, gambling, driving fast cars, drinking alcohol, and smoking marijuana.